Ladies and gentlemen, I call this meeting of the Schertz-Cibolo-Universal City Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, and the time is now 6 p.m. Dee, can we have the roll call, please?
Also, Person President Mr. Wilson, Ms. Cosbeck.
And just for the record, Mr. Wilson has a work obligation, and I believe Ms. Dreisbeck was working, has transportation issues, and she will be here as soon as she gets a chance to. All right, just want to say welcome to everybody. Appreciate everyone coming out tonight. I know we have a lot of students out in the hallway, so we'll try to speed up this first part a little bit. And is the temperature in here okay with everyone?
Yes.
We usually have it around 100 degrees about this time of night, so you guys get the benefit from having the AC working. So appreciate everyone for being here. Just want to let you know this is the school board meeting. We're your public servants. We're here to do what we can on behalf of the school district. And if you don't know the board members individually and you have issues over the course of the year, feel free to give us a call or email us. And again, the administrators as well, they're here to serve you guys. So very much appreciate you guys being here tonight. At this time, if we could have the Vice President's recitation of the district mission, vision, values, and priorities. I'm sorry. Yeah, let's go back. I forgot. Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone can please stand. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas pledge.
On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to you in Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Thank you very much. All right. Also want to let everyone know that we do have public comment. Here are a few items down on the agenda if you wish to address the board tonight. We do also have forms in the back that, again, if there's anything that you feel the board should be doing better or anything you want to compliment us on, feel free to fill those out, and we'll certainly take those into consideration. All right, at this time, we'll go ahead with the Vice President's recitation of the district mission, vision, values, and priorities.
Our vision: prepare every student to be a productive citizen. Our values are leadership, character, commitment, service, and learning. Our mission statement: Schertz-Cibolo-Universal City Independent School District provides a safe, secure, and challenging learning environment through the responsible use of all resources to afford opportunities for all students to realize their individual potential and to become responsible and productive members of society. Our priorities: priority number 1, high achievement for all students. Priority number 2, high performing and engaged workforce. Priority number 3, effective and efficient district and campus operations.
Thanks, Robert. At this time, we'll have the board's recitation of the district statements. Mr. Crowe.
We believe all students have the capacity to learn and be successful. We believe a safe, secure environment is paramount to learning. We believe living our core values of leadership, character, commitment, service, and learning result in ability to set and achieve lifelong goals. We believe quality instruction addresses the individual needs of students.
We believe engaging, interactive, and authentic teaching creates empowered, active learners prepared for our changing world. We believe embracing technology as a relevant tool enhances learning in and beyond the classroom.
We believe in a professional learning community culture that allows time to collaborate and share best practices in order to improve continually. And we believe good communication is critical to success.
We believe lifelong learning enriches staff through professional development. We believe measures of our success go beyond standardized testing. We believe public education is defined by the local community with limited state involvement.
Thank you, board members, and just to let you know, the reason we do that is just to make sure that we stay focused on our mission and our goals during our board meeting here tonight. And now we'll go on with the recognition items. This time, Dr. Gibson will do the recognition of our student representatives for May.
Thank you, President Inman, trustees, staff members, and guests tonight. We're honored to have Juliana Radford, a 12th grader from Clemens High School representing TSA, and Melly Jacob Basson, from a 12th grader from Steele High School representing Student Council. So your designated administrators now, I think, will escort you to the podium, and we look forward to hearing from you. Looks like Sharon's got the tops.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Gibson, President Inman, and members of the board. I'm Cindy Ward. I'm the Associate Principal at Samuel Clemens High School, and it's my honor to introduce to you tonight Juliana Ratchford. She's representing our TSA organization, and she's a Samuel Clemens High School senior. She's the daughter of Glenn and Susanna Ratchford. If they'll please stand and be recognized. Juliana's been a student in the school district for 5 years and has been a member of our Amani Multicultural Club and for 1 year, and also the Technology Student Association for 2 years. And that's way underdoing it, because I mean, she's been driving our technology for 2 years. Juliana serves as a leader on the campus by being the co-president of the Student-Driven School Store and is the president of TSA. Her service to the community has included directing traffic and setting up stands for Festival of Angels, helping Schertz PD sell sodas to raise money for Schertz Fest, and helping make copies and bring textbooks to teachers during Samuel Clemens Prep Days. After graduation, Juliana plans to attend a university to earn a major in business and a minor in visual arts so that she can pursue a career in communication design. Ladies and gentlemen, Juliana Ratchford.
Good evening, Dr. Gibson, President Inman, and members of the board. My name is Juliana Ratchford, and it is an honor to be here speaking to everyone this evening. I've had an amazing journey of opportunities throughout my time in high school, and I'd like to share with everyone the knowledge I've acquired, the organizations I've been involved in, and to speak about the different projects I've been working on for the school. The initial catalyst for my involvement was joining the Technology Student Association. Being a part of TSA not only taught me the importance of teamwork, but through different competitions for promotional graphics, I've pushed myself in learning more about digital art and stepping outside my comfort zone. Since then, I've been taking several CTE courses in addition to core classes to further my education. The CTE department at Samuel Clemens High School is absolutely astonishing, to say the least. Outside of my drawing tablet and Photoshop elements I have at home, I've gotten experience working with a vinyl cutter, laser engraver, t-shirt press, 3D printer, embroidery machine, professional cameras, and microphones, along with a plethora of professional programs. I will be attending Texas State University this fall, and I've already met with the academic advisor for the College of Fine Arts and Communication. Needless to say, she was astounded with how much experience I already had acquired, only being a senior in high school. This year I've made a name for myself decorating Yetis, laptops, banners, designing and making t-shirts, working with the embroidery machine, designing digital graphics, working diligently as TSA president, co-president of the Buffalo Trading Company, filming and editing segments for the Clemens Broadcasting Network, and creating publications for my high school as well. And yes, it is very stressful balancing these tasks with dual credit and AP courses on the side, but what keeps me going is the positive feedback from everyone I design for, as well as the sheer enjoyment of watching my creations turn into reality. However, I never would have gotten this far without the support of my family, my teachers, and my peers. I would especially like to thank Miss Melissa Gossett, if you can stand real quick and recognize, for being my teacher and mentor for the class. She has taught me so much and has been incredibly supportive in all of my endeavors, from teaching me how to use the different kinds of machinery around the campus, to helping me prepare for my first interview for an internship with HEB. Ms. Gossett has always been an adult I can go to whenever I need help, for which I'm very appreciative of that. I'm very glad to have had her as my teacher, and I will miss having her as a teacher next year. Sorry, though I will definitely come back from time to time. As I digress, I'd like to reiterate my appreciation for the remarkable CTE and design programs for getting me this far. It has been both a pleasure and an honor to have given back this much to my school. Thank you and go Bucks.
Thank you, Juliana.
Good evening, Dr. Gibson, President Inman, and members of the board. My name is Deborah Ibarra, Assistant Principal at Steele High School. I am proud to present to you Melanie Jacob Bison, who is representing the Student Council Program for Steele High School. Melanie's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Jacob Bison, are with us along with her brother tonight. Please stand to be recognized. Also, Mrs. Courtney Matthews, our Student Council sponsor, is also here. Please stand. Melanie is currently our Student Council President. She is President of the Spanish Club and our National Honor Society President as well. She is the TASC District 18 Vice President and member of the Knights of the Round Table Group. She has just recently been named the 2016 Outstanding Senior Girl. She has maintained a GPA of 101.52 and is ranked 14 out of 459 seniors. Melanie has been with the SCUC schools for 8 years. She has been accepted to Baylor University to major in biology and pre-med with the desire to continue on to med school to become an endocrinologist. I now present to you Ms. Melanie Jacob Bison.
Thank you for the introduction, Mrs. Ibarra. Good evening, SCUC Board. Thank you for having me tonight. Like Mrs. Ibarra mentioned, I am the Student Council President, and I've had the privilege of being with Student Council for the past 4 years. I'm excited to be here with y'all today to just explain what Student Council does. If I tried to explain everything we do and how we do it, we'd be here for days. But I'm just going to try to scratch the surface. So I've been involved with student council organizations since elementary school, since the 4th grade, and Steele Student Council for all 4 years. During high school, I've gone to more than 15 leadership conferences and held multiple officer positions and collaborated and learned from some of the best leaders across the state of Texas. Student Council has given me so many opportunities to become a great leader and has developed me into the person I am today. Student Council is without a doubt the heart and soul of Steele High School. Student Council puts on events for the community, such as Blackout, a pep rally that we have right before a homecoming game. We turn off all the lights and we throw glow sticks, and it's really fun. We also have Pink Out, where we designate a specific football game, and all the football players wear pink and sell t-shirts and beads and eye blacks to raise money for breast cancer research. We also have the daddy-daughter dance and mother-son night of fun, which I'm sure some of y'all went to. It's just a night where parents can come with their children and just have fun and make memories, and all that money that we raised went towards building a park in New Braunfels for special needs children. So we'll see some developments on that later on. We also, for the first time, we had a fall festival this year, kind of like a harvest fest, kind of something like that, where we invited all the elementary school kids from all the feeder schools around, and we had games and prizes and candy, and it was just a night of safe fun at Steele. We also try to raise awareness for texting and driving. So we have a lot of events and stuff like posters and stuff like that to just advertise the dangers of texting and driving. We have a lot of school events too. So we have homecoming, which everyone knows what that is, which is really fun. We have SPUD Week. SPUD stands for Students Performing Unselfish Deeds. It's just a week of kindness and giving, and during that week we have a day called Mix It Up Day, where we have all the inflatables out on the courtyard, and they're available to all students during all lunches, and we don't charge them. It's just donations are accepted for certain causes, whatever charity we want to donate to that year. And it's just a day where you can have fun and meet new friends, and it's really awesome. We just recently had our first annual Senior Olympics. I don't know if y'all saw some pictures of that, but Senior Olympics is just a giant field day. It's a giant farewell, a giant day of fun. We had hamster balls, we had bowling, we had booger wars, we had ring toss. It was really, really fun and really competitive. So that was really cool. And we're thankful that y'all are so cool to let us have things like that and to approve all our fun activities. We are also in charge of Red Ribbon Week, Military Appreciation, Earth Day, and so pretty much anything big event going on at Steele, you can be sure Student Council is behind that. This year, for the first time in Steele history, Steele became the District 18 Vice President School, which means we are in charge of the schools in 14 counties surrounding us. So that entailed just managing membership, going to meetings, and we hosted a conference at our school with, I think, 400? With 400 people in attendance from. Some people drove hours away to come to our school, and we had amazing feedback. People were telling us that's the best conference we've ever been to. I've been a TASC, which stands for Texas Association of Student Councils, advisor for years and years, and I've never been to such a good conference. So that just goes to show you that we're a really good school, we're a really good district, because they were also really impressed with our campus. They were telling us, wow, this looks like a college. This is my dream campus. I would love to go to school here, which just makes you realize, made us realize how blessed we were to have such a beautiful campus like that. And we were actually just re-elected, so we will be the Vice President School for the 2016-2017 year, which is very exciting. Steele has won the Texas Association of Student Councils Sweepstakes Award for the past 10 years. Sweepstakes Award just basically means that we met or exceeded the requirements in the categories of energy and environment, DASH, community service, pride and patriotism, and the overall outstanding student council category. So this year was our 10th year receiving that award, which we're very proud of. Our sponsor, Ms. Courtney Matthews, as she was presented earlier, she is our advisor. So she goes above and beyond to ensure that we do our absolute best. She works tirelessly for us. She'll take projects home. She's always there, and she has been our advisor she's been my advisor for the past 4 years. She's been an A advisor for 10 years, I believe. She is my mentor, and I couldn't have gotten through high school without her. I am honored to have been the Steele Student Council President for this past year. I'm honored to be here because as a freshman I saw student representatives. I was like, wow, how cool would that be? And then here I am, Student Body President here. So I'm super excited. I'm positive that Student Council will continue to flourish for years to come. We've made such progress compared to other schools that have had student council programs for years. So we're moving really quickly and we're doing great things and people are taking notice. Thank you, SCUC Board and Steele Administration, for always supporting us and approving our projects and ideas, even though they might seem like shenanigans. They are a fun time, and they are just to make our school even greater than it is. Thank you.
Good job, Melanie. And I've been on board a lot of years, and it's the first time anyone has ever called this board cool. We've done a lot of things over the years, but that's very much appreciated. All right, we'll go on to the Aspiring Leader Academy Participant Recognition. Dr. Edwards.
Dr. Gibson, President, and members of the board. On behalf of Ms. Maloney, Mr. Wolford, and myself, it is a privilege to recognize a group of outstanding leaders in our district. Beginning in the 2015-16 school year, the district implemented the Aspiring Leader Academy for teacher leaders and counselors seeking opportunities to learn more about administrative leadership. Participants submitted applications and were selected based on criteria related to experience and graduate work completed. The academy was held on Monday evenings once a month. Throughout the year, district leaders presented information in their individual areas of expertise. Topics included creating a district vision, importance of leadership, special programs, budgets and finance, purchasing, facilities and construction, maintenance, and transportation. We had some guest speakers. Most of the folks here to my right at one point came in and shared their knowledge and expertise in those areas as well. I wanted to share with you some of the comments that our leaders in this group have shared with us. Aspiring Leader Academy gave me the confidence and the understanding it takes to continue to lead effectively on my own campus and in my future as an administrator. Another comment, Aspiring Leaders Academy is designed to create an understanding to develop leaders from within the district, promote a keen perspective on the goals they support and the vision they help develop. Their role is not defined by position or title, but through the efforts made to support the organization they belong to. The Aspiring Leader Academy not only offered a forum for networking with other future leaders, but it provided an avenue to learn more about district leadership and how to creatively think about problems or issues affecting the district. The Aspiring Leader Academy is a program that will help you understand what leadership looks like in SCUC. It will build your confidence to lead from where you are. The Academy will show you key pieces of school district operations and how all of these pieces fit together to accomplish what's best for students. If you want to grow in your skills and knowledge as an SCUC leader, you've got to apply for this Academy. And the last one, through empowering teacher leaders to learn with and through one another, the Aspiring Leader Academy of SCUCISD offers all aspiring leaders the opportunity to grow professionally and personally. These opportunities range from gaining a more global perspective while digging into district-wide data, goals, and needs. Completing the ALA will leave all participants feeling as though they have more value and significance in our rapidly growing district. It was a privilege to work with this group of leaders over the past year. And what we'd like to do, the first group we would like to recognize are those individuals that missed fewer than one or more times out of each month when we participated, and we would ask them to come forward as we recognize them. First, Adrian Canseco. Andrea Silva. Randy Bagnall. Carrie Edwards. Desiree Gardner. Heidi Schriever. James Stadler. Jennifer Oliver. Josh Peters. Kelly Taylor. Kelly Arvin. Kimberly Nyberg. Kimsey Altamirano. Kirsten Garrison. Christina Gonzalez. Linda Jansen. Mari Hodis. Norman Solano. Gray Love. Robert Striever. Sam Rhodes. Shannon George. Stephanie Martinez.
I think it was such a big space. I mean, you could miss me.
Tony Moore. We'd also like to recognize individuals that either couldn't attend tonight or that, although they may have missed more than one of our sessions, still completed the course. And those are Rebecca Atnan, Timothy Bishop, and it's Elizabeth Leonard. I'm not here. This is Tim Bishop, by the way. I will say that we prepared a certificate for each one of our participants. We're planning on sending those to their principals so they can also be recognized in front of the staff for the time commitment that they put in this last year and their own commitment to their personal growth, but not only their personal growth, but their effectiveness as a leader on their campus. So it's a great year for us, and we look forward to replicating this each year. And guys will come back up.
How about one of you take a picture?
Thank you.
No, that would work. And then two of your students, or two students were still.
I'm trying to keep it so my children don't.
Next up, we have recognition of student achievements. I would just ask that everyone stay in the room to whatever extent you can until we're done with student recognition. It's always the best part of our meeting, quite honestly. And then as soon as that's over, good news is we're going to take a short break. If everyone wants to head out at that point. And you're always more than welcome to stay to the end if you want to. At this time, go ahead, Ms. Maloney, do the student recognitions.
Thank you, President Inman, Dr. Gibson. This is a wonderful opportunity to recognize students from Steele High School and Clemens High School for their accomplishments at the state level. First off tonight, and a big thank you also to John Holm, who helps every single time we do this to organize everything outside. So let's give John a hand. Tonight, I'd like to recognize our sponsors of the Cibolo Creek FFA state qualifiers, Amy Massey, Larry Waddle, Adam Lampman, and Raven Crawford. Let's give them a hand. And now the students from the Cibolo Creek FFA that are state qualifiers: Ayana Bagwell, Brandon Burnett, Danielle Campbell, Austin Jackson, Jordan Kendall, Brittany Lazarin, Joseph Leachman, Amanda Martinez, Kaylee Mendiola, Jenna Norton, Lauren Norwood, Austin Pittman, Cordelia Reagan, Reba Ritter, Isaiah Sanders, Michaela Seeger, Aaron Suarez, Rebecca St. John, June Teague, Brittany Vasquez, Ashley Voigt, and Parker Wallace. State qualifiers, Cibolo Creek FFA. Next up, from Clemens High School, state qualifiers and UIL academic events, Rachel Bowerman for ready writing and Manuel Morales for spelling. up, we have Coach Daggy from Clemens High School. We welcome him and some of the members of the baseball team receiving Academic All-State. Academic All-State, Robert Berg, Matthew Faber, Zane Gray, Nicholas Hamill, Mitchell Hero, Stephen Jones, Nicholas Palmer, Jacob Price, Manuel Santoya, Tyler Smith, and Nicholas Soria. The Clemens High School All-State Academic Baseball. Next up, we welcome DECA sponsors Erica Marshall and James Pratt to the front. We have our DECA national qualifiers. Emma Childs, Jacob Coates, Andrew Corniss, Treston Doherty, Mitchell Faber, Cameron Henderson, Imani Jackson, Samuel Kearns, Charles Miller, Eric Nunez, Brendan Correntio, Alexander Shaw, and Bailey Webster. DECA national qualifiers. And now, HOSA sponsor, Twania Parker, will join us up here. The HOSA national qualifier is Elaine Halliball. And for Clemens Boys Soccer, I welcome Coach Wong up to the podium. Our boys soccer academic all-state recipients, Tyler Chavez, Dylan Plumley, Grant Ritter, and Peyton Rowe. And now we recognize our track coaches, girls coach Gary Fletcher and boys coach David Voos. Our track state qualifiers are Tommy Bush, Chelsea Edwards, Ben Ivory, Luke Kelly, Kyle Lewis, and John Moore.
small. All right, one more.
Okay, our base sponsor is Kristen Wilcox, and our base state qualifier is Taylin Westbrook. Okay, Steele High School UIL Academic State Qualifier, Chloe Smith. Track coaches are girls coach Darcy Haxton Jackson and boys coach Adam Harvey. Our track state qualifiers are Jada Gardner and Jalen Woods. And our last honorees tonight are Baseball Academic All-State. Coach David Smith will come up. We honor for Academic All-State Joseph Adams, Braden McMahon, and Jack Winter. Thank you to all the families who came out tonight.
Let me just say congratulations again to all the students, and especially to all the moms, dads, and families that are here tonight. And obviously these kids couldn't have done the things they did without you guys. And now that our air conditioning is on, it's getting nice and cool in here, we're going to take a break. And feel free to go ahead and head out if you want to. We'll recess here at 6:45 and reconvene at 6:55. All right, 6:55, so we'll go ahead and reconvene. This time, Dee Dee, we don't have any public comments, is that correct? We'll go on to the report on board advocacy, and this is the time when board members can share what they've done, in this case during the month of April, just community events, things like that they may have done to educate fellow board members and members of the public on things that are going on around the district or around the area. And, John, you want to say anything at this point?
I do, I'm trying to find it.
Sure. Robert?
Hey, I got it. Hey, the thing that, in addition to the other ones, is I got to go to the Clemens Sports Prep Days. If you've never been to one of those, oh my goodness, that is one of the biggest undertakings ever, where they bus kids in from, I think, all the way from intermediate level schools to the middle schools to the high schools to get them all in one day. I guess they're physical certified. They had it down to an art, and it was just very interesting to see that take place and all the coordination that went in with that. And then the only other big ones is I got to attend the steel cheer event, which is always interesting and fun to watch. Then there's another one I had. I think that was covered last time. So that's all I had this time.
Robert?
I had a great opportunity to tour Cibolo Valley. Mrs. Goldhorn did a great job. She's not here, but I think the school was beautiful, well done. Anyway, it was a great job. I enjoyed that one. But the one I want to mention was the one yesterday, and I wasn't unaware of it, over at the Clemens signing day. The principal, Dr. Johnson, Coach Johnson, that this year every varsity team went to the playoffs, and I thought that was phenomenal. I wonder when the last time that happened. So great job on their behalf, and great job for Mrs. Sosa and superintendent and his staff. Thank you.
David?
Well, I continue to do my watchdog thing at Green Valley Elementary on Tuesday. I've been able to be involved in some a reading restaurant there as well, which was fun. Part of the Blue Ribbon Committee with Cibolo on the 1103 expansion, that continues. But it's always fun to get out to the campuses, talk to the kids, and see what's going on out there. I know they had I think it was their museum yesterday. The students were participating as different characters at Green Valley yesterday. I wasn't able, the Wax Museum. I wasn't able to go, but I know my nephew was Teddy Roosevelt, and Dr. Gibson did talk to him. I saw a picture of that. And, his name is Max. He does speak softly. He really does. But Dr. Gibson was checking out to see if the big stick was there, but he didn't have that. So anyway, there's a lot of good stuff going on out there. And again, like Robert said, our high schools, UIL, academics, athletics, fine arts, we're doing some great things. So it's good to see it, and you get a chance to participate. Thank you.
Jerry?
Got the opportunity to do the facility tour for the middle schools and the high schools, and that was nice. It's different from the first tours. There was actual students in these, so it was a little different tour when the kids are there than it was with the elementary schools. And I too went to the signing night last night at both Clemens and Steele, and that was pretty neat. The way they set up and ran it was well run, and everybody got recognized, very excited. They had a great time, and they were glad we stopped by.
And just for the record, I believe it was 6:31, Ms. Dreisbeck headed to the work.
Because I was on a flight. Let's see, I've been to multiple events. One that stands out is, I know we always acknowledge those high schools, but I was at the junior high band UIL for Joby and Corbett, and they did great. As usual, I'm sitting out there thinking they could run definitely a competition with any high school band you put them against. I was not there, but I know that the Corbett Junior High played for Northeast Lakeview's commencement little thing, so that was a great thing that they were a part of. So great job on those junior high bands.
Just a couple things real quick. Made it to both Clemens and Steele boys baseball and playoff games, and just again, I mean, all of our kids and all the sports should be doing really, really well. But the thing you do know is you just got good kids and good parents, and they're not out there causing trouble, and they're performing very, very well, and doing a good job representing this district. The other thing, last few months I've been to the Northeast Partnership Luncheons, and that's made up of all the area mayors from all the area cities, and they put out an invitation for us to do a presentation later on this fall when the bond election gets rolling. And again, very influential group of folks, and pleased that they're going to give us that opportunity. So that's something any other board member, if you have an opportunity, I know some of you have been to that, so good luncheon to go to, get a chance to meet the local area mayors and city managers and people like that. So, anything else from any other board members? Dr. Gibson, anything special you'd like to bring up?
Almost everything that was just mentioned.
All right. Okay, we'll go on to our new business report and discussion items. Number one, update on priority number 3, effective and efficient district and campus operations. Dr. Gibson.
Thank you, President Inman and trustees. And as Ms. Jaskinia gets ready to talk about Bill 3.1, just a reminder that the 7 critical questions that priority 3 addresses: what needs to be provided for our customers, how will we provide it, how will we know when we have provided what is needed, how will we know that we were effective and efficient, what will we do if we do not meet customer needs, what will we do if we do meet customer needs, and how will we continuously improve what we do. So having said that, Mr. Skinny is going to start with 3.1, I'll do 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, and then I think Paige is going to take 3.5 to 9.
Good evening, Mr. Inman, Dr. Gibson, members of the board. Goal 3.1 deals with the district achieving 100% of annual financial integrity rating system of Texas, the first indicators that will either meet or exceed expectation. If y'all remember back, some of your board members, it was probably your first board meeting, but in November I actually made the report on our schools first at that point in time. And we received a pass rating covering, it's always 2 years behind the 13-14 school year information. Of these 7 indicators, the district passed all 7 questions, resulting in a score of 30, which was the highest achievable score. The district exceeded expectation and has remained consistent in all areas in the preceding years. And School First will include multiple additional indicators for the 14-15 school year. This is just kind of a quick comparison. We've been keeping up with this over the years. Schools First has been going on for about 11 years now in the school district. You can go out on the finance website and we have all 11 years out there, but for tonight's, we just kind of did a quick side-by-side, and as you can see, there was a lot of questions back in 11-12 and 12-13, but in 13-14, they really narrowed it down, but then in 14-15, we're going to see a lot more of these additional questions coming back. But as you can see, we've done well across the years. We've received, we've never defaulted on our debt. Our net assets have always been graded to zeros. We've done all of our reporting in a timely manner. That's our audit report, that's our PENS data, all the different reports we need to make. Our auditors always give us, we've always received an unqualified opinion. We have no weak internal controls. Our debt per student, that has gone away, but that will be coming back in the 14-15 school year. Excuse me. And our administrative cost ratio has to be less than 0.125, and we try to keep that consistent, and you can see that we are way below that. The administrative cost ratio applies to the administration, which is anyone who is paid out of Function 41, which includes Dr. Gibson, the finance office, includes us being effective and efficient in running that department. Indicators the district is going to follow to ensure we receive superior achievements in the coming years. We monitor our board reports, we monitor our revenue and our expenditures. We have monthly, quarterly forecasts that we do. Actually, I'll be going over that with y'all this evening. We monitor the superintendent's summary semester report by 6 weeks attendance periods. We've been doing that for 15-16. Our fall mid-year PENS data has been filed with TEA. Our summer PENS is due June the 23rd, and this will be the final attendance data for the 15-16 school year, and that will also be the final determination of our state funding for the 15-16 school year. Our audit has also been filed with TEA, and we are still waiting final approval on that.
Hey, do you mind advancing those?
Yes, I will.
4 quick reminders. I'm going to go very quickly and just stop us if you need to ask a question. But at the time that we were creating, and we had several community advisory committees advising us on a community engagement protocol, I guess for lack of a better word. House Bill 5 passed in May of 2013 and made it mandatory statewide. Well, we were almost completed at that point with one that we had tried to vet through community members. And just, a reminder that when we laid out what the TASB Engage, and I would call them a group of professionals, this is what they do. They do surveys. When we laid theirs out next to ours, it was very, very similar to what we had worked on here as a community. And that felt really good to know that we were that close. So we made a decision to just adopt the TASB Engage community survey. One of the advantages to that is it gives us some comparisons statewide. So goals 3, 3, 3, 4, and 3, 5 measure community and student satisfaction with the district as a whole. And we also get individual campus results that are not part of the report tonight, but that we did report to Team 1, and the campuses actually now go through that. They go back to their campus improvement teams, and there's a requirement that that's submitted in our summer PEAMS submission, and then also that it's posted on the website, and we already have that report done. I think most people are just now finishing their surveys, maybe, and we've got our report ready to be posted. Just a reminder that 3.2 was dropped last year. We had worded it that way just because of HB 5, and then when we realized the change in the law, we felt like that wasn't necessary, and the board granted us, or authorized us to drop 3.2. It's measured in 3.334 now. And then we also, we surveyed the secondary students, and we received a total of 4,844 community surveys and nearly 1,700 secondary students from our juniors and seniors. And we'll talk a little bit about that in just a moment. So the results, and this breaks all kinds of rules on PowerPoint, I get it, but so I'm just saying what you're thinking. So we're going to put, these reports now are posted online, and this does allow a very comprehensive look at it, and it allows people to drill down in it and really look at the numbers. So we went ahead and posted it. So in this way, so we have 14, 15, the questions for 3.3, and then we have 15, 16 stacked up beside it. Approximately the same number of stakeholders submitted surveys. Then these questions that are in blue are also the questions that are on the student survey, and we're going to look at that in just a second. And so if you look at the middle column, which is green, that is the response from students and community where it's applicable, the ones that are in blue. So for the purpose of just this slide, the far right column, we drop the student responses, which are traditionally a little bit lower. We understand that just kind of is what it is. But when we do that, you can see the community survey results in those questions at 96, 96, 94. And I'm not going to read them all out loud, but you can see them right now. And those are some really high community results. And, you know, in the name of continuous improvement, and I know most of you know this, but as you get at, let's say, 92% plus, it starts getting harder and harder to really make meaningful change, you know, in the metric. So one of the things that we're looking at, and we may bring to the board this summer, we definitely will next fall, is we're looking at the measurement on strongly agree on these questions, as opposed to just agree and slightly agree, if that makes sense. So we get it disaggregated that way. And I think, for example, on that very first question, that's a 96% of the respondents chose slightly agree, or strongly agree. That's the combined 96%. Well, 55% chose strongly agree. And so what we may start doing is measuring the strongly agree as a subset, and start trying to drive more, like just continue to just move it further to the right, get people to have a stronger, I guess, opinion about us positively. Okay. Goal 3.4, 85, our goal for the district, 85% of the campus questions will respond with overall satisfaction. So we extracted those out, and you see the results from 87 last year to 91, 92 to 94, 82 to 87, 87 to 92, 79 to 87, 88 to 93, and 91 to 93, for an overall satisfaction gain from 87% to 91%. That's really good. What we noticed when we disaggregated the information is that Gifted and Talented last year, you may remember, was kind of lagging behind. You see it down there with the 79, and a lot of hard work. And by the way, we've just talked about even more things that we're doing for this coming year to keep that 87 moving up. But I think that gain made in that one really reflected in the overall. Paige, I think Paige is going to pick it up from here on 3.5.
Okay, and then this is our students, and you can look at the 2014-15 column compared to 2015-2016. And we did have some growth in some areas, and some that we still need to work on. And we'll be talking a little bit about some of the things that we've been doing to try to improve this. This is our 11th and 12th graders at Clemens at the high schools. It's the second consecutive year that we have done that for the two for Samuel Clemens and Byron Steele. Our incremental goal for the school year was 83%, and the overall satisfaction rate ended up at 79%. So what we've done is we've broken out these questions and kind of showed what the percentage change was, or if there was no change. In student learning, a 6% increase in equal opportunities for learning is something to hang your hat on. And that section had an 84% overall score. For the district environment, all except the cultural diversity piece, the other two were trending up with a 76% overall percentage. For overall opinion, with those questions, all of them are trending up a little bit, with the district sets high standards for students with no change, with a 78% overall. And on the HB5 criteria satisfaction for the programs, you can see we've got some variance there with an overall of 79%. And again, as Dr. Gibson mentioned, we know that our students' responses are going to be lower than our parents, and so we've really gone to work with on some of those things. We have a 79% overall satisfaction. Our incremental goal increases for 16-17, we are wanting to hit the 84%. So, in trying to improve, and we did review these at the January 21st regular board meeting, everything that we talked about that we were going to do at that time, we have done. And I think the main thing that we want to say is the Steel Knights and the round table and the Clemens student group. Dr. Gibson, do you want to mention
the
about that?
herd and the Knights of the round table. We probably got started on that last box a little late. And, it was just interesting, the question on I trust the district leadership. So we talked about that with them. And, okay, what can we do? And, kids will tell you, they just said, more of this would be good, just talking directly to us. And they just said, quite frankly, we just don't know who you are. And we're kids, and we're going to put neutral or slightly disagree unless we know who you are, which is a really good point. So we're going to commit to meeting with those two groups 4 times this next year, not just once. And I would encourage less than a quorum of trustees to go along at the different times and introduce the board members. I think that would be really excellent. They just said we don't know who that is. That's just it's a dream world, and we don't know who it is. And again, we're kids, we're not going to check. Yeah, we trust you if we don't know who you are. It turns out that kids today, when something is good, they say it's lit. She's laughing because she knows that in the meeting, I accidentally said I'm lit, which has a whole different connotation than it's lit. And so we got a little Twitter war that night between me and some students at Steele. All worked out okay. I'm now at 675 followers from Steele High School on Twitter. That's the game. That's the net gain on it. But this next year we're committing to 4 meetings with the Knights of the Round Table and the Buffalo Herd. And I think we will learn, and they're very structured. It's not just let's get blank sheets of paper right all over the wall. But we're asking the kids face to face to help us on trust and leadership and on students being treated fairly. Were the 2 primary questions we asked them to help us with. Yeah.
Also, I have a kid that took this survey, and I had told him it was coming, so he knew. But I don't think everybody knew the importance of that, and so I know that's something else we can definitely, because they don't think. Hopefully you didn't get as many Mickey Mouse answers and comments. I know we talked about that the last time we went over it. But I know some were like, hurry up, finish this, we gotta get back to our, so.
The kids brought that up. I can't remember if it was at Steele or at Clemens. It may have been at both, but they brought that up, that to next year give them a little bit of warning before it goes out and let them start communicating that it's important and it's serious. And they're actually going to read it, and we need to take it seriously. And I just think if that's coming from the students to the students, that's the best way. And as they said, it can't hurt for us to meet 4 times. It just can't be, there's going to be no net negative to that. It's going to be a net positive.
And through these student groups, lots of communication about it and education for the students for what the survey represents. For 16-17, as Dr. Gibson said, they will be meeting with those 2 groups 4 times a year and establish those feedback loops so that information gets to both district and campus leadership teams. And then continue to follow up on survey concepts during class meetings throughout the year and explain how results will be used to guide decisions. And so I'm sure we will use the extracurricular groups to get that information out. Campus results are going to be evaluated with a rating of exemplary, recognized, acceptable, or unacceptable. And those will be in the specific areas listed there. Those are the HB5 components. In order for a campus or the district to receive a rating of exemplary, the campus or district has to have 20% of the total enrollment respond, and then have 90% or above. The 15-16 community engagement survey results are going to be posted on our district's website. Are they already there?
Well,
We're ready to post those.
We'll do it in the next few weeks.
Yes.
Do we have 20%?
We did overall, and I believe all but one campus, or did they get it done right at the end? They got it done right at the end, so it's close. But we got the
I was
last
just
one right
wondering.
at the end.
Some campuses, very high.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Questions? Okay, thank you. Thanks, Mr. Walker. Before we go on to the next agenda item, I'd like to introduce a special guest. For those of you that do not know him, he's a former board member, former board president, and just an all-around generally nice guy. George Ricks. George. Anything you'd like to say, sir?
Mr. Ricks, would you like to say anything?
You have 15 seconds.
Can I hold the red one?
Thanks, George. All right, next item up on the agenda is discussion budget update on the financial forecast of the school year 15-16 budget. Mr. Skinny?
Mr. Inman, Dr. Gibson, members of the board. Tonight, I'm going to cover a little bit about the 15-16 budget, kind of give you an idea of where we're at. Actually, we only have close to almost 3.5 months of that budget left, and we're going into a new school year. So let's kind of look at the 15-16 enrollment. Just kind of, I know that each week y'all see the enrollment and everything, but just kind of a quick comparison here. We budgeted on a total of 15,110 students. We always use PEAMS. The PEAMS snapshot date is the date that we used for our budget, to figure our budget and what we'll be receiving in state funding. And at PEAMS snapshot date, we had 15,118 students, or 8 extra students. That's pretty good. Actually, our enrollment on May the 6th was 15,164 students, or 46 students. So we did grow higher than what we had budgeted on. We were excited about that. Our attendance has been an average, we're averaging somewhere around 95.94%. We budgeted on 96%, so we're very close to that. We're estimating an enrollment for 16-17 of 15,680 students. This is kind of a side-by-side showing us from where we adopted the budget to where we are forecasting we are going to end the budget on August the 31st. Looking at revenue, we budgeted on 110 million. We're estimating we're going to be somewhere at 112 million. That includes the budget amendments that we did through the years, and I'll go through those in a minute. The expenditures, we budgeted, of course, we had a balanced budget, 110 million. We're going to spend somewhere around $108 million. So we're looking at our revenue over expenses, adding around $3.9 million back into the fund balance, but a portion of that will be the fund balance actually going back to the fund balance because we have not completed the swimming pool project. So we're estimating we're going to be putting back about $1,019,000 of that into there. We did do several budget amendments during the year. One was for the remaining Wilder Intermediate School renovation. We had some things we still needed to complete at the end of the year, so the board members who were here in August, you may recall I did mention that we'll have to be doing a budget amendment to bring that money back out of fund balance to complete that project, and that's what we did with the Wilder addition, the district stadium, and also the Samuel Clemens entry improvements. We also did, several years ago, set aside money for the district's portion of the city swimming pool of $1.6 million. We actually started that project this year, but actually that project will not be completed, I believe, until December. So we'll be having to come back to the board next year in September again, bring that money back out of fund balance in order to complete that project. And one of the other budget amendments we did was to move money between functions in order for the traveling for our student groups, which we saw recognized here this evening. They've all done so well. They've advanced beyond the district level, and we still have August that we'll have to be paying for. Taking a look at our fund balance, I like to just kind of show this to the board so you have an awareness of where we're at. An assigned fund balance is actually where the board actually assigns or commits money to a project. And so for this coming school year, we're estimating we'll have around $6.5 million that's either set aside or it's committed to a project, one of those projects being the remainder of the money for the pool. So that $6.5 million, we still have $1,019,000 for the pool. At any point in time, the board can undesignate those funds and they can use those funds as they're seeing that those funds need to be used. Another portion of that money is set aside for construction. There's around $3.5 million set aside for construction and about $1.6 million set aside for equipment. The unassigned fund balance is money that can be used as the board deems appropriate at any point in time, so we're estimating we'll have around $36.1 million in the unassigned fund balance for a total ending fund balance of around $42.7 million. Here we're saying we're going to be adding $1.7 million back into there, but that of course is, as I explained earlier, is the money that we took out of fund balance that will be rolling back into fund balance again. When we do our audit, and also in our board policy, the board should always have set aside 90 days of operating costs. In our district, we're estimating that to be around $27 million. So that gives us about a $9.1 million, we call it excess or unassigned general fund balance. What I'm saying there is that as we go through the year next year, or as we go through the rest of the summer here, if we see that we need to maybe fund one of our EPP projects, or we see something that needs to be repaired or something like that, the board can use a portion of that money in order to meet that requirement. Is there any questions over that before I move on? Okay, so let's move to 16-17. This is just a calendar. We do this in the finance office so we know where we're going, where we need to be. Just like to bring to the board's attention that on July 25th, we'll be receiving our appraised values from the appraisal districts. On July 26th, we'll be having our regular board meeting, and we'll be asking the board at that time to set a date for our public meeting for the budget and also our proposed tax rate. On August the 16th is usually when we post these notices in the paper. And then on August 30th, if you'll please mark your calendars, that will be the day we're planning for our public meeting and adoption of our budget and our tax rate. To give you some idea of what our budget is looking like, we have been sharing with the board the budget parameter memo, which the board approved back in March. We took that, and that was kind of the basis for building our budget, and here's just some of the highlights from there that we used. Our enrollment projection of 15,680 students, or a growth of 562 students. Rate of attendance 96%, our certified values at 7%. Our pupil teacher ratio stayed the same for the most part. We'll be going over some new positions, which you've got detailed on the next pages. Those were running around $2.3 million. As you can recall, back in April, we had the TASB salary study presented by TASB to the board. They recommended some adjustments in our payroll system, and that totaled around $162,000. We also, at that time, we also presented the concept of a 3% raise for our employees, which would cost around $2.4 million. Last month, we approved United Healthcare as being the health insurance carrier for the district for the 16-17 school year, and we'll continue contributing $300 per employee participating per month. And we just found out that the district has been awarded a pre-K grant of $215,000, and so we'll be coming back to the board in June, and we'll be adding some teacher aide positions at our pre-K level and some staff development. Here's just a snapshot of our enrollment projections. Taking a look at this, we see Clements and Steele will be growing, and then of course the Bull Valley will be showing the growth. That's where the majority of our growth will be at. These are some of the new positions I was discussing earlier. Back on January 21st at the board meeting, we approved 30 new teachers to the budget at a cost of $1.8 million. This evening, Ms. Cannon will be asking the board to consider these following positions. We'll be adding 5 bus drivers, a bus monitor, a warehouseman in the purchasing department, 6 custodians in our maintenance and our facilities, 1 grounds worker, 1 general maintenance worker, and a maintenance technician in our child nutrition department for a total of around $437,000. These are much needed positions on our operations side, and we are very glad that we'll be able to add these to the budget this coming school year. Some of the new reoccurring costs in the 16-17 budget, and when we say reoccurring, we know that's a cost that's going to remain in that budget. Some of these things we've shared with the board in the past, and we still may have some, like with the student resource officers, we'll be adding 2 of those. We have 2 at Steele and 2 at Clements right now. We'll be adding 1 to Clements and 1 to Steele, so that's a cost of $170,000. We have an interlocal agreement with the cities covering that, and actually we're just paying them as a contract service between us and them, and they provide the officers, they provide the vehicles, they provide all the necessary equipment and training and everything. So that's at a cost of about $85,000 per campus, but as we continue to grow, and as you saw earlier, these 2 campuses are growing. Those student resource officers are very needed. Game officials will be going up. This is by UIL, so we have to budget an additional $39,000, and I think $39,000. And I think we're going to see that grow in the coming years. Back in February, the board approved an insurance consultant for the district to assist us with looking at insurance bids and helping us provide the best insurance that we can for our employees. That's going to run the cost of $150,000 a year. And with the change in the UIL districts for fine arts has changed, they're going to have to be traveling a lot more, and so we had to add an additional $42,000 to the budget to cover those costs. And so right now that's around $401,000 of new recurring costs that are going to be in the budget for the years to come. Turning to salaries, we're having a hard time getting out of school districts what they're thinking about doing for salaries this coming year. We plan to keep updating this so we can keep sharing this with the board. I think a lot of districts were waiting on the Supreme Court decision, and I think now a lot of people are going to start hitting their budgets and going to start looking at, what to do, because we all know that we're going to be going into a legislative session again in January, and so I think a lot of people are just kind of putting it off and not really dealing with this at that point in a timely manner. We did learn from Northside that they're looking at a 2 to 3% pay increase. I know that has not been approved yet. San Antonio ISD, I know, has approved a 2% increase across the board for their employees. East Central is looking at $1,500 pay increase for their teachers and a 3% increase across the board for the rest of their employees. Randolph, I know theirs have been approved, and they're doing a 3% increase across the board. Comel is doing a 2%. For their teachers and for their administrative, but their clerical and auxiliary, they're looking at 3%. And I don't know if they've approved that or not, Dr. Gibson. I don't think they have yet. I think these are all just what they're proposing to their boards, just as we are as the same. And New Braunfels too, they're doing the 3% across the board. As I said, we'll keep the board members updated on this, and when we do get more information, we'll send that out to you. If the board were to consider a 3% pay increase for the employees of our school district, this is kind of just a breakdown of what would cost in our major job classifications for teachers, nurses, librarians, around $1.5 million. For our manual trades, our bus drivers, custodians, food servers, are $252,000. Our clerical professionals, around $179,000. Our administrative professionals, which is our counselors, principals, assistant principals, our directors, $426,000. For a total estimated cost increase of around $2.4 million. And that was kind of what we were sharing through the budget parameter memo with the board, and also as TASB came through too, they kind of were figuring somewhere around that as well. That's going to fluctuate as the year goes on because of the fact that we have people coming, we have people going, we have teachers retiring, we're bringing on new teachers. So, but that's, if we were to adopt the budget today and everybody was to stay in place, it would run us around $2.4 million. This takes a look at our minimum teacher salary would remain at $50,000, and that was as a recommendation from TASB. Our midpoint would be around $58,000, a maximum $67,000, but each of our teachers would receive an annual increase of $1,700, and that would be for our bachelor degree teachers. Our master degree teachers would be a minimum of $51,591 to a max of $69,220, and they would receive an annual pay increase of $1,775. This next page is very busy. This covers everybody else in the school district. Everybody else in the school district fits into one of these pay grades and into one of these classifications. And all of this is dependent on how many days they work, how many hours they work a day, and in turn we can figure each of their salary increases. So kind of putting all of this together, if we take a look at comparing kind of big things that we've covered through the budget parameter memo to what I shared this evening, comparing ourselves to last year compared to this year, we're kind of using the same things. The only thing changing is our enrollment. Our revenue would grow from $112.5 million to $115 million. Our expenditures, this is our final ending, would be somewhere around $108 million, and our expenditures would grow to around $115 million next year. So we can bring the board a balanced budget at this point in time. There's still a lot of things out there. I mean, the biggest one being, of course, receiving our appraisal district notices and what they're looking at our appraised value going up. You know, that can still have an impact on our budget. But for the most part, we feel we've put together a good budget. We've got a balanced budget, and if we needed to adopt a budget tonight, I think that we could if we needed to. Some of the things in the future, we'll be coming back to the board in June, asking for consideration of the proposed 3% raise for our employees. We'll be also bringing back the compensation manual for review by the board and for consideration for approval. The pre-K grant, as I mentioned earlier, we'll be bringing back those teacher aide positions for the board to consider approving. And also, we think we'll be able to add some aides to our special education side using some of our federal special education money. And so we'll be bringing that to the board for consideration as well. In July, certified values, we should receive those values on July 25th. And at the regular board meeting in July, we'll be asking to set the date for the public hearing and the proposed tax rate, which we're hoping that meeting, we can have that meeting on August the 30th. And in August, there will be the meeting on the 30th. That would be the time we would actually adopt the budget, do the final amendments to the 15-16 budget, and set the tax rate for the 16-17 budget. The board actually adopts the budget at a functional level. And of course, we'll present that to the board, you know, before we're going to be asking for adoption of that budget. And of course, I would like to tell any of the new board members at any time, or any of the board members, if you'd like to come and visit with me and take a more comprehensive look at the budget, I'll be happy to go through that with you. So, any questions?
You take it before, this slide, I understand why it is the way that it is, because we're trying to just get the budget set. But one of the things, Mr. Chairman, that I'm going to add to our follow-up list is in September, after the budget adoption, to have a discussion item for our EPP.
Yes.
Because it's a balanced budget, but we're leaving things undone on our 10-year plan. And I don't want to we're good with where we are right now. It's our best bad idea. And because we're going to bring a balanced budget. But as soon as it's adopted, we want to talk big picture down the road about, these items that continually get, just left off the list in order to balance the budget. Now that we have the Supreme Court decision, I think we should have a very frank, honest, open communication about what gets left undone.
And I should have mentioned that when I was going through the fund balance, it's one of the reasons I want to bring that to the board, so you can kind of see that we do have some money there that maybe we can fund some of the projects that are still out there and things, and still have a healthy fund balance for the school district.
Is it, and I didn't talk, but do you agree to just wait until September? Because I'm afraid the conversation will get too mixed up.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get the budget adopted, and then we'll have that other conversation after that.
If we see, when we'll be waiting for our appraisal, for our certified values to come in and stuff, there may be funds available where we can take a look at some of those. But we've covered the things that we have to have. We're taking care of our teachers, we're taking care of our staff, we have the supplies we need, we've taken care of all of those things that we have to have in order to operate school. And so, then we can take a look at that, and then we may be coming back to the board sooner than that and saying, okay, we may be able to fund some technology or something. So anyway, we'll have to just kind of see as months go on what we can do.
Yeah, just one thing, I know we talked about it a month or so ago, but so TASB's recommended that we keep our first year teacher pay rate at the same level.
Yes,
primarily because it's gotten compressed over the years where there's not much of a difference between the second and third. But, the paper has a tendency to just report the first year numbers, and then that's what everyone competes on. So there's just, I don't see necessarily bad press that shows that I can see the newspaper reporting that we didn't give a pay raise. That's how they would report it, because the first year teacher pay didn't go up any. Just to make sure we get the word out that that's not what we're doing.
No, it would be your beginning teacher pay.
Sure.
And I think through the TASB study, and Linda, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but Nina, you as well. They did take a look at our teacher pay scale, and that was some of the adjustments that they made between some of our kind of trying to level out between the first, the second, the third, and the fourth year. And actually, I attended a presentation just yesterday where they said that that's the important time where you have to really think about your teachers is in the first 6 to 7 years of employment, because that either makes or breaks a teacher. They have to see that they are being appreciated. And I think our pay scale reflects that, but I think TASB did make some recommendations in there. And I don't think it's so much the beginning that they're looking at, but they're looking at that first year and that second year.
Sure. I guess what I'm just saying, I think that the paper has that tendency to only report starting teacher pay, and then that's the criteria that everybody looks at, is who pays the most. And I certainly understand what we're doing, I agree with it, but just somehow if we can get the word out, so it may look like we're not giving a teacher pay raise, but that's not the case.
That's not the case. Any questions? I know that was kind of a high-level look. I'm sorry that it took me a while to get that out to the board, but it takes a combination of Linda's office and my office and payroll to get this all together and everything. So anyway, and as I said, anytime anyone is welcome to come on in, and I can do a more comprehensive overview of the budget.
Thank you, Peggy, for the information. Great job, as always. Appreciate what you and your staff do every year. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
In the big picture, we have arguably $9 million more than what TASB would say we probably should have as far as fund balance goes.
By board policy, yes. Board policy says 90 days of operating. So So we're, you know, and I think that number is going to even grow a little bit because this is just my early speculation here in May. Actually, I really think we are going to be getting some additional state funding from prior years because we did protest our values and things, and so I think we may get some additional funding there. Our tax collections have been just fantastic this year, and I think we may see some additional collections coming in June as well. So we may see that grow to around $10 million.
We, on the EPP, do you remember when we finished, there were potentially up to $5 million or so worth of things on there that were quote unquote funded? And just to put that into perspective, I don't know if you remember all the way back to the beginning of the budget parameter, we laid that out and added all that up. Now, some of that we decided it's technology infrastructure and could be part of the 2016 bond. So that was a big help because that starts making that number look a lot better real fast.
HVAC was another.
HVAC was another. So you pull those out, so it went way down. But that's the $9 million. I appreciate you bringing that up. And then I want us to look at that number and then the EPP in September. Start a discussion.
Any other questions or comments? Good. All right, thank you, Mr. Skinner.
Thank you.
Next we have the May 2016 construction update, Mr. Brewski.
Good evening, President Inman, Dr. Gibson, members of the board. Hopefully I can do an abbreviated report regarding the project since a good number of them are on final closeout stage and we can move through those and we're heading to some new areas of not quite breaking ground but starting over on some things here, and I'll explain that in a minute. Just from some highlights, Cibolo Valley and Steele High School, we're looking at, again, we're still on the closeout part, kind of the hardest part, chasing down documents and trying to finalize a few items. So both campuses, as we all know, are rolling well. So Steele High School, let's get through there. Dobie Junior High. Dobie Junior High, we are currently working in the kitchen, under the kitchen, around the kitchen, and food service is doing a great job without a kitchen, serving those students. So that's a big highlight there. We're trying to speed some things up and make some timelines. The classroom addition is going well. They're trying to complete the admin addition in time for school. We're still not quite 100% sure that's going to happen for full disclosure, but we will have the classrooms ready. The admin may be lagging just a tad behind. So we're moving forward there. So that's kind of a quick high point there for Dobie. Just some pictures of the new classroom addition. This is the second floor in the admin area, poured concrete. It's amazing, even during all the monsoon weather we've had. And then some classroom, restroom, showers, sorry. Okay, so there's the schedule. So we're looking at September, all in, pretty much the project being complete. And then you'll be hearing me up here talking about closeout documents, I'm sure. So then we kicked off a project that the board allowed us to start early using the bond 2013 saving dollars for HVAC replacement for proposal for the 2016 bond. Hope that made sense. So basically what we've started, we're at 5% completion right now. As the future design for the campuses shown there, Wilder, Watts, and Jordan. And what that entails is we basically, okay, that's real ugly, I'll fix that for the next time. But there's Watts, Jordan, and Wilder on the priority list on the level 1 assessment from O'Connell-Robertson. And let's just get to the meat, there we go. So the schedule, the 3 years, 2016, the gray is design, the blue is bond in November, and then see these construction documents out for bid, and then you can see the award plan for January. There is a bond. This is with the idea that the bond is going forth and the bond passes, and these projects have been given the green light to go. And in the green, you'll see the construction timetable, June, July, and August. And that will start in 17 and hopefully be completed in 18. Working on all three over 2 summers. So there's minimum impact to the campuses, we hope. That's kind of the plan for the HVAC scenario. So currently, Mr. Mosley, O'Connell Robertson, and AGCM are working on the early phases of design for these. And as you see, started back in April, so we're in May, and we'll continue going. We'll probably get some more traction as we go through the summer. Beard Gym is complete. Campus entries are complete. Main office, mental stadium is complete. Excuse me. And then the Wilder parking lot is set to start after the last day of school. Mobilization will start, and then we'll start knocking out that project for Wilder. A little bit of information for the board. You've probably seen the digging going on in the green grass off of Belleville. And this is a fire road for our future portables. This is a life safety plan to get fire access for the portables. They'll also, in our plan, they're not shown here, but there'll be portables on both sides of this if and when we do the renovation to Clemens. So that we're looking forward here and planning ahead. So this will be the area of transition for students while the renovation, if that does go forward, takes life. Kind of in a nutshell, I believe if there's any questions.
Any questions? Seeing none? Thanks, Mr. Pruski.
Thank you.
Next up, we have budgeted purchases of goods and services in excess of $50,000. Mr. Rivera.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board, and Dr. Gibson. Our board policy permits budgeted purchases of goods and services above $50,000 when they're purchased under a previously approved board interlocal contracts, purchasing cooperatives, and district contracts. The superintendent, however, must subsequently report those to the board. This past month, we've had 2, one of which Mr. Pruski outlined rather well, to LMC Corporation for $69,807.58 for the Clemens High School Portable Classroom Drive Project. And the next one is the Binion Sports Services Incorporated for $92,230, the purpose of which is to repair and resurface the Adobe Junior High School track. That's the same company who did the Steele High School resurfacing project. That was last year. Do you have any questions, Mr. Moses, here for either of the project?
Any questions? All right. Thanks, Matt. Next item up, brief report from Dr. Gibson dealing with a recent issue on transgender students. Dr. Gibson?
Thank you, President and trustees, and honored guests. Mr. Ritz is gone. I figured he would stay with us. I'm going to read, this is a little bit out of the norm for me, but I'm just going to read the Jim Walsh of the Law Dogs post, which actually I think came out either today or yesterday. It's just a really, I think, excellent summary of this matter. So generally I don't just read, but I'm going to do it in this case. So in the Law Dogs, they report the bathroom wars are intensifying. One day the lieutenant governor stirs the pot in Fort Worth, seeking the dismissal of the superintendent because of the guidelines he issued about transgender students. And the next day the DOE, the Department of Education's office for OCR, Office of Civil Rights, issues another of their dear colleague letters, quote unquote, on this topic. So what do we make of this? The main thing to know about the new letter is that it makes the federal government's position crystal clear. When a school provides sex-segregated activities and facilities, transgender students must be allowed to participate in such activities and access such facilities consistent with their gender identity. Now, the letter puts it plainly, the departments, which means the Department of Ed and the Department of Justice, treat a student's gender identity as the student's sex for the purposes of Title IX and implementing its regulations. So the letter further asserts that the department's interpretation is consistent with the courts and other agencies and interpretations of federal laws prohibiting sex discrimination. Now, what's meant in practical terms is that if a parent or student files a complaint with the DOE, alleging that a student has been denied access to a bathroom or locker room that corresponds with the student's gender identity, Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights will rule for the parents and against the district. Elected leaders at the statewide level are pushing back aggressively on this issue. Thus, once again, schools get caught in this culture war crossfire. Opinions in your district will probably run the gamut, but one thing they will have in common is that they will be strongly held, whichever side they're on. The law dog encourages calm voices, common sense, and good legal advice, which I'm sure his firm would provide. I added that part. Please note that the Department of Ed letter does not require any, now this is extremely important. So if you forget everything, just remember the next few words. The Department of Ed letter does not require any changes to policy for those districts that have TASB model FFH local already in place, which we do. And we have the A version, the TASB base version. Rather, the letter spells out how districts should respond to specific requests. Now, to that end, I distributed an administrative regulation that the principals, and Ms. Bandy is here to answer any questions. She was in the room when we talked through this matter the other day, and we had a really good conversation about should we provide an admin reg or not, yes or no, because we have the policy in place. We have the base version policy that's all that's required by law. And at the end of that discussion, there was, I guess, consensus reached that we should develop an admin reg. And what's really important for me, and this is a draft, and I'm just letting you guys look at the draft tonight, which is usually, it's typically not that way, but it's just timing is such that I'll just put it in your hand. That we're not addressing this with the head topic of transgender students. Because what we're really talking about here is a request for what's called an individual user restroom or locker. That's what the real seems to be the burning issue that's in people's minds. So we came up at our Team 1 meeting very quickly, within a matter of seconds, 3 distinct cases that might generate a request for an individual user restroom, if that makes sense. So one of them being the gender-based harassment, which we just read about. Another one may be if someone is claiming bullying and it happens in the bathroom, so we would make an arrangement for that. And then another one may be that a student has become ill or a student has become injured and it's hard, maybe they're on crutches, it's hard for them to go in the restroom, while they're on crutches. So in any case, under any of those scenarios, and if you think a lawyer would be proud of our wording, we've really learned to write admin regs with a lawyerly mind. Examples of end-user requests may be, but are not limited to the 3 that I just mentioned. Now, here's what's really important, the second sentence. SCUCISD works with parents and guardians of all, and all is capitalized, all children, to allow an individual user option for restrooms and locker rooms on a case-by-case basis. Requests from parents and guardians should be directed to the campus principal. And with that, and with our policy FFH local in place, we're legal. And we're through, and that's what our practice is right now. And so we're just codifying our current practice, which is legal. And I'm going to go ahead and say this because someone asked me today, well, what did Fort Worth ISD do? Well, they took a set of guidelines, just guidelines and recommendations, and they codified them in their administrative regulations. And that's the part that some have heralded that as a great decision. Some have said that was the mistake because now you just put the staff members in the position that if they don't do this comprehensive list of 23 different, politically correct, that's not a term, but politically correct ways to do it, then you just put your staff in a position, an uncompromising position. So we have not done that. You had asked me that earlier, and I'm not even considering that. This admin reg and our current policy is sufficient.
Just let the board members know that this wasn't originally an agenda item, but just given what's been in the newsletter, that'd be a good idea not for us to have some long-winded discussion about all this necessarily, but just for Dr. Gibson to share with us what the district's practice has been and how this has affected us and where we plan on moving forward. So the discussions I've had with Dr. Gibson, I think it's been one of those things that if we do have a situation arise, the principals know to do the right thing and to talk with the child and the parents and to to try to accommodate that child as best as possible. And I think that's what our plan, that's what we've been doing, and that's what our plan would be to move forward at this point. So,
I want to commend our administration for getting on this and making common sense out of it, and do a pretty good job of putting the documents together to formalize our intent with this, that we're doing the right thing for our students. That's the main thing. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Having said that, so I'll play lawyer here for a second, but the one thing I do have concern about, and I don't know if they've given us guidance on that, but I can understand when they say, essentially treat a child consistent with that child's gender identity. How do you define that? Is that something that a child identifies at the beginning of the school year? Mom and dad have to be involved in making that decision? Third grader says, I identify with something one day, another day. I mean, I can see how do you actually define what it means to have gender identity. It can be pretty complicated.
Yeah.
Is anyone giving us any guidance on what that actually means? Like, do we have to have mom and dad come down here? Or is it simply if a student says it?
We don't. Now, this admin, Ray, I think we're taking the stance that we need mom and dad involved, or guardian involved. I mean, and we had a very good discussion about that doesn't need to be something that a fourth grade kid decides one day and all of a sudden we're jumping through hoops. So we're going to get the parents involved. That policy FFH, it's really interesting, and if you read it, carefully, it leaves it a little bit gray that it is the student's personal identity, the way they perceive it to be, even if it goes against social norms. That's basically what the policy, that's what the law says. Now, the law also says that we do not, and I'm just going to say this real bluntly, we do not have to provide access to all restrooms as long as for all students. In any situation, we make a reasonable accommodation to an individual user restroom, and that's what we choose to do. And I'm not going to say that this is airtight and perfect. Someone may challenge this, but if they do, you'll be one of the first to know.
Is everyone okay with that? Okay, so we just thought it'd be important to at least share this topic with everyone and kind of give you a sense of what's taking place so far.
So just to clarify, if someone is in one of these categories, they can make a request for an individual user bathroom or restroom, but not have access to the main restroom for cargo.
That's what we're saying. That's a good way to word that question. That is correct.
Any further on that? Okay. All right, thanks. Next item is just a trustee summary report. As you guys know, I went to the NSBA annual conference in Boston in April. Just kind of some quick points on that. The NSBA is the National School Board Association. They generally have two major conferences each year. One is usually in Washington, D.C. in February, and that's more or less designed to learn about what the federal government's doing to or for us, however you want to look at it. And just go to the Capitol Hill and lobby on behalf of the school districts. And then they have their annual conference typically late in the spring. Just to let you know, next year's will be in Denver, Colorado. And then the year after that, so I guess 2018, we'll actually be here in San Antonio. Okay. They're a little bit more expensive than TASB, just the registration, and you got the travel costs, but I would encourage everyone to go on some kind of rotating cycle. It's not something I think we need to have 3 or 4 board meetings every year, but it's certainly a good idea to have 1 or 2 on an annual basis. Quite honestly, you do learn a lot about what's going on around the country, how a lot of the districts are dealing with different issues. A lot of districts around the country deal with collective bargaining and unions, and their teachers go on strike and things like that we don't even deal with. And you kind of get a bigger sense of what's going on around the country. And it's more from a federal level. Obviously we're dealing with the Texas legislature here, and NSBA deals more with on a federal level. So again, I would encourage folks to go. I think David, so we're going to San Diego?
Yes.
Am I correct? So that's something I encourage you guys to do. I think this time it's about 500 Texas school board members went from all of the states. You obviously get some time to spend with them. Let me know if you guys are interested in next year. I know I got board approval, I think, head nod before I went, but I think we look back at our board operating procedures. In the future, I guess we're supposed to actually take a vote. I think it's a good thing for us to do to ensure that anytime you want to spend funds to go out of state or something above and beyond what we call the normal, that you do get the approval from your fellow board members before we do that. Just so you guys know. Any questions on that? Okay. All right. Next item up is the trustee report update on FM 1103 extension. Mr. Pivito.
Yes, as I mentioned before, I'm, I guess, the district and board representative on a Blue Ribbon Committee with the City of Cibolo for the purpose of discussing feasibility of extending FM 1103 to I-10 as a toll road. We have meetings. Well, we've had 4 meetings so far. This says 2, but we've actually had 4. And there actually is a meeting tonight, which of course I'm not at because I have to be here and I wanted to be here. And there will be a meeting on June 2nd, which I will not be able to participate in because we have graduation that night, and they know that. They also know how I feel about the feasibility of this already because I've told them. Anyway, just to be brief and understand this is very preliminary. No decisions have been made. It's just been discussion. But I just wanted to update you in case you're hearing something or you're concerned or just wanted information. But anyway, the idea is to extend FM 1103 approximately 7.5 miles from 1103 at Wagon Wheel out to I-10 at the Zill Road intersection. Do a kind of a flyover into that intersection there. Of course, that would improve that intersection as well because it's, if you try to get on I-10 at 1518, Zill Road is about the same as far as getting on I-10 there. It's not even safer. But anyway, so the funding would be provided by private investors with a company called Public Works. That's W-E-R-K-S, not W-O-R-K-S. And with the gentleman who is the CEO of Public Works has been at every one of our meetings, and of course been in discussion with him. If the City of Cibolo were to take this on, their tax rate would go from 42 cents to 84 cents. So and that's just not going to happen. So they went out and looked for somebody, and the city secretary knew of a company. There's 5 companies in the state of Texas that do this, private companies. There are only 2 that are in good standing with the state of Texas and TxDOT, and Public Works is one of them. And they were interested in this project. Anyway, our task is to forward a recommendation to the City Council of Cibolo regarding the viability and feasibility of this. The estimated cost is right now is about $25 million to construct, and that's estimated. Again, this is all preliminary. Figuring about 40 to 45 properties may be affected between 1103 and I-10. And the idea is to not go through someone's property, but to go at the edges and corners and try to make it work out so you're not dividing somebody's real estate up out there. There's a lot of wetlands, so there's going to be a lot of cost involved in creating flyovers and things like that. Also, part of this is that the city may institute what's called a tax increment reinvestment zone, or TIRZ. And these would provide funding for reinvestment and redevelopment of areas around or along the corridor, along the toll road, and a way to fund maintenance and upkeep. At our last meeting, the last meeting I attended, there was also additional talk that there has been conversation with TxDOT and between Cibolo and TxDOT, that possibility of extending express lanes from 1103 to 35. And this would increase, this would be basically, they would be toll-free. Their flyovers would be flyovers at all the stoplights at 1103. Kind of like what you have, not quite what you have in Austin between the river and 290s, say. or 183, but something similar to that. And it's no design yet, just talk. But that's a possibility. The city of Schertz would have to be involved in that because they do have ownership in some of that real estate. Now, the toll road itself would probably have 150-foot easement. My concern, being on the committee, my original concern, one of the reasons why I was happy to accept the offer to be on the committee was, with, of course, Steele High School being out there. Steele High School is approximately 800 feet from 1103. The toll road would be, looking out from the Steele High School, the toll road would be to your right, approximately 600, 700 feet, 2 football fields, say, maybe 2.5. So there's not much difference between where 1103 is now and where this toll road would be. So I don't see it's been a safety issue. That was my initial concern. I think there's some noise abatement that they could do. So all those things will be discussed. It's not our job to tell them how to do it. Our job is to say, you know, we think it can be done. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer your questions.
Any questions on that?
Again, this is preliminary. Nothing's been decided. So, you know, please don't go out and say that Cibolo's going to put up a toll road on number 3.
And that's all they would do.
That's not true. That is not true. Now, the other thing that was noted is that if the city of Cibolo allows, then citizens of Cibolo, if they get on the toll road at any point in time, they will not be charged. The only way they would be charged is if they were to start at 35 and stay on the toll road all the way to 10. Then they would be charged, and that would probably be a minimum fee. It wouldn't be the same fee as somebody just coming on. And they can do that through the electronic devices that you put on your car to go to a toll road. A lot of the cities have done this for their citizens. So the city of Cibolo are trying to take care of their own people. So anyway, and there's also ways to mitigate certain types of traffic on this road. They're looking at maybe denying access to semis, trucks, trailers, things like that. But there's also a discussion that with development out on this road, 1103, they may want to allow that. Not sure yet. So it's all discussion. So anyway, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer. But if not, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
And a similar line, I think it was yesterday in the paper that noted that New Braunfels was the second fastest growing city in the entire country. I think San Marcos may have been number 1 a couple of years ago, I think. And you know, the San Antonio-Austin corridor is obviously just going to keep exploding and expanding. So whatever happens, things are going to change, right? That's one thing we can bank on. So, yeah, thanks, Ed. Appreciate it. Next item we have, Mr. Westbrook has requested a report on our active shooter awareness and training. So, Dr. Gibson.
Yeah, thank you, President Inman and trustees. Tonight, this item was just put on here basically to close or to open, I guess, a window of discussion upon researching the request from last month. This item clearly qualifies to be discussed in executive session. We confirmed all of that, which makes a lot of sense that Julie would discuss that openly. So we're going to ask both the city of Schertz and the city of Cibolo to participate with us in executive session either June or July to participate in the discussion. I know that Dr. Edwards and Ms. Maloney, presented some very general things and dropped some documents. I think Dee did in the board conference, just to kind of give you general information. And I don't know, Paige, if you want to share with them what documents we dropped in there.
Just the overall crisis plans and procedures that each campus, they follow the same template and things like that. And then a document from the Safety Center at Texas State with recommendations for the standards of safety and security in schools. We're trying to develop all of our training around a quarterly plan to implement those standards and be in compliance with that. And that active shooter awareness training is a part of that.
One thought that we had today, Mr. Chairman, I would just mention this, and we'll, the thing in executive session, if that's all right, but we'll just do it that way, if that sounds good. We'll work with both cities to make that happen. And we noticed that I know this is a subject that's on everybody's mind, and we get that. There's a quarterly newsletter that we glanced at the last issue. I think that would be very appropriate for trustees to just start receiving that in their board update from the School Safety Center. They're known all over the country. I know most of y'all know that right here in San Marcos. I mean, that's where people go to be trained from all over the country. So we should just tap into those resources, I guess, and just keep the board engaged through those. So one thing we may do is send out the quarterly updates and board updates, and if any trustees have questions about them, we'll just put that on the agenda after that month. That was a thought that came up today. But we will schedule the cities either June or July, whatever's good for them, to come in and meet us in executive session.
Okay with that? All right. Next item is Education Service Center Region 20, Regional Day School Program for the Deaf. Mr. Rivera.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board, and Dr. Gibson. Ms. Williams brought this to our attention that the Region 20 actually provides a regional day school program for the deaf. Our district has been participating with them for some time as a guest. Previously, the board had approved our participation in a shared service agreement with Region 13. Region 20 is a bit closer to us. Our staff has been very happy with the services that we provided in Region 20. And we will only be paying for services that we actually receive. We don't have any children participating, there's no fee. Some of the day school programs instead actually charge if you're just a member. If you have any specific questions about what services are provided to our students, then I would refer to Ms. Williams at that point.
Yeah, does this mean that students would no longer be going to San Marcos, they would be going to San Antonio now?
That's correct, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, we received the request for this after last month's meeting, and it's due before, I guess tomorrow. So we sent it out in the board update once we received that for the board's review right after the last meeting, and it is an action item later tonight. So we put that in, I think it was the board update 2 weeks ago, we sent it out. That's why that one was so long, this agreement.
Any question on that? Can we just hold up and vote on it until we get to the action items?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Since we are going to vote on it, does anyone have any other detailed questions? All right. Next item for discussion, solicitation for construction management services. Mr. Rivera.
Thank you, Mr. President. There's been a lot of talk with Mr. Brewski about possibly having a bond program coming up in the future. But if we're going to have a bond program in the future, we need to have some special assistance. On these projected bond construction projects, the district will require specialized and some supplemental assistance to ensure that our projects are executed on time and under budget. One of the more important things that these services or service providers give us is a master program schedule, keeping our projects on time, tracking projects, main elements. To obtain the best value for the district, we'll issue a request for proposals. We've done this prior to each of our previous bonds. I would say that the success of our past bond programs is directly attributable to our facilities and construction departments with the supplemental assistance of our contract management and contracting services. We've issued a solicitation for these services. We expect a competition and we'll be bringing them back before the board's future board meeting.
Any questions on that? They'll ultimately be involved in helping prepare the bonds for the elections. They just put the projects together ahead of time, or?
Well, I would defer to Mr. Brewski. They don't normally get involved in that part of the marketing of the bond.
Not the dollars and cents part, no, sir.
Yeah, I guess, better designing the projects ahead of time.
Yes.
When we're going out for the bond.
Yes. When we, for instance, what we're doing now, using our current construction management services firm, AGCM, they are assisting us with the HVAC pre-design, which I shared with you, as well as with the Clemens Clemens Design, which we're starting up now and trying to get some conceptual things going. So the same opportunity would arise, I'm assuming, on the next one as well. So, and then taking us from conceptual schematic to design actual contract documents.
Any questions? Thanks. Next item for discussion, solicitation of football supplies. Mr. Rivera.
Yes, Mr. President, we received requirements from our athletic department for supplies for our football program. These will be required in August. The estimated cost is exceeding $50,000, so we've issued a solicitation. We received back those proposals. They're in the evaluation phase right now with our coaches and our staff. We'll bring that back to the board for recommendations or approval at the next board meeting.
Was this for specific items or just simply, I know you have the big old checklist every year that's just, we're contracting with these folks to possibly buy items from them?
These are specific line items that the staff has recommended that we need for the new school year, beginning in August. And we have in the past included the laundry list, if you will, of all the items of 1 through 200.
Okay.
At some times, the board would prefer that we aggregate those into main blocks rather than have the whole sheet. It doesn't really print out really well on a landscape. It's kind of busy. So we would add it either as a long list or as a group. You'll see later time with furniture item as a group.
Any questions? Thanks, man. Next item, solicitation for internet services, Mr. Rivera.
Due to the increased utilization of the internet by students and staff and administration, there has been an increase of demand in the bandwidth of the district's network operations center. A lot of times we'll look at our computers and we'll see a circle that's going around just looking for bandwidth. This solicitation provides more bandwidth for our district staff, our students, our instruction, and the amount of data that can actually be delivered to each of our students. 6 or 7 years ago, the students' need for the internet were lower to moderate from where we are right now today. Today, our bandwidth requirements are higher, with technology being more widely available to most of our students, and most of our students have a computing device. Most days are using those. And all of our teachers have basic digital literacy now, and in some cases they have digital curriculum. According to a 2014 report by the State Educational Technology Directors Association, by 2017-18, they recommend students or districts expand to 1 gigabyte for 1,000 students and or staff members for an external connection and 10 gigabytes for internal network connections for the same number of people, in anticipation of future technologies that are not yet conceived. Our district currently has a 1 gigabyte connection for the entire district. Our aim is actually to have a 15 gigabyte. Is that right, Dr. Griffel? 15 gigabyte connection for our district. Right, we priced 10, 15, 20. We're going to make a big jump from 1. Funding is provided by the general fund, and it is eligible for E-rate reimbursement. And the market has changed since we last went out on this 5 years ago. The cost that we would pay would be less than half that we were paying 5 years ago. So overall, it's a very good value for the district, and we're getting more bandwidth.
So I guess it sounds great, but what took us so long to get to this point, or we're about to have a riot breakout, or why? It sounds to me like why didn't we do this last year or the year before? Or?
When we bring the recommendation for this contract back to the board at a future date, many of these companies have locked-in blocks, so you can't get out of these contracts unless you go into for a minimum of 3 years. You're locked in for that time period. That's going to happen. We'll have a 3-year block with 2 additional option years. That way they're getting their money's worth, and we're getting our money's worth as well.
About 2 years ago, did we expand Wi-Fi? I remember like 2 years ago, I thought we did a whole bunch.
Yeah, that was at the start of the bond that we're closing out right now, right? And all these things.
Yeah, it was Wi-Fi, it wasn't bandwidth.
It was Wi-Fi, wireless around the district.
Just to know that every school I go to has bandwidth issues, so. No, I mean, not here, but just across the United States. It's a major because everybody's on it all the time now.
As far as staff goes, is this something they definitely want? Everyone's okay with it?
The ones that want it. How many devices are online right now in this room? I have 3.
I have to.
2, 5, 2, 2. Okay, so
We have 14,
Oh.
we have 14,000 devices on our network on any given day.
All right, any other questions on that? Comments?
You said 1 gig and the price for, you say 10, 15, and 20?
We did ask for pricing for 10, 15, and 20.
And the price range?
It's about $6,000 a month for, I believe it was 15 gigabytes. We'll bring that back on the tabulation so you see the actual amount. We haven't finalized the negotiation with those 2 companies. We're looking at 2 different companies helping us out. But we're paying currently just over $8,000. Well, our bill is just over $8,000 a month, but between $4,000 and $6,000 a month will be much more.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, discussion solicitation for legal services. Mr. Rivera.
Mr. President, it's been every 5 to 6 years we'll go back out for legal services. Our attorneys have said this is something you don't have to do. However, law changes, and finding specialized help in certain laws are something that a district needs to have access to. As you can see, there are many things that school districts are involved in: Open Meetings Act, Public Information Act, the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, FERPA, ADA, IDEA, LSA, FMLA, Section 504, Title VII, Title IX, Workers' Compensation, Contract Law, Employment Law, Student Discipline Law, Purchasing, Construction Laws, just to name a few. And so you can see well, you understand very well the practice of law can be very complicated. So we need assistance. So every 5 years we'll go back out and test the market and see what's out there, see what's been working for us. We're not saying anything is wrong with our current firm at all, but seeing what else is out there, our staff will be able to have a look and see what might be a better fit for us in any one of those areas. So we can actually recommend multiple firms and not just one in particular.
Just for the board members' benefit, the way this works, the school board itself authorizes the district to use various legal counsel. That's the school board's call to make. From a legal ethical standpoint, the attorneys represent the school district, which is, in a legal sense, the school board. There's some confusion about this sometimes, about do the attorneys represent the administration and the staff, or they actually represent the school district. So their legal ethics is to us. Their ethical obligation is to the board. Having said that, unlike a lot of other districts here in San Antonio, we've historically approved one or more law firms to work as a district's legal counsel, and then essentially let the administration pick on a day-to-day basis who they're going to use for various projects or issues. Because for the most part, it's the staff, administration team that's going to spend 99% of the time with the attorneys, not the school board. It's just for whatever reason we haven't had those issues here unlike some other districts. So we rarely have an attorney come to represent the board. It's somebody that Dr. Gibson usually hires, so we let him at his discretion pick and choose who he believes would do the best job for whatever particular project we happen to have going on. Just to let you guys know too, I know there's been a paper recently, some districts in San Antonio that are a lot smaller than us have $500,000, close to $1 million legal budgets. That's how much they've spent. So Dr. Gibson, you want to inform the board on what we've spent?
Yeah, and I just pulled it up out of the financials, and we've spent $62,000 this year. You're right, our jaws just dropped on some of those expenditures. It's just unbelievable.
I have nothing against, attorneys making money, I don't know. But just, go through the trend from the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. 2012-13, we had spent $220,000, 2013-14, $269,000, then 2014-2015, $95,000, and then we're at $62,000 this year. And we don't have, this is going to be a really big problem that I say this, but we don't have any big legal things pending right now. So far.
Okay, so yeah, just for the board's sake, I just want y'all to know that, in my opinion, that's indicative of a board and a staff that has to act together, largely speaking, and we're not creating our own issues and, fighting amongst ourselves and all these, things that a lot of districts are not going to do. And yeah, I don't want to name names, but let's take Edgewood, I think, for example. I think they're the third of our size. They may have had $750,000 plus in legal bills last year. To some extent, you can say that that's good. On the other hand, that's money that could have been spent, educating kids, largely speaking. So just kudos to the staff, I think, in some sense, for calling the attorneys when appropriate, because obviously there are times when that is the case, and but not being, just completely irresponsible to the fact that we're creating our own legal problems.
And it's a good point. Wayne and Matt had spent all day with an attorney yesterday, and we'll pay full price for that. But that situation was warranted, and we would have been foolish to not be sitting here with an attorney all day long yesterday. Big time, as he just said. That's right.
Any questions about that? So we're now going out for solicitation?
Yes, sir. We've issued a request for qualifications.
So next month you will come back with the various firms that have responded and allow the board to take it from there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Anyone have any further questions on that? Okay. Next item, Texas Association of School Boards, 16 and 18 advocacy agenda.
Well, in the board packet is basically what we would like to bring to the trustees' attention. This happens every year, and it's your opportunity. I think page 102 and page 103, it's your opportunity or the board's opportunity to submit statements to the TASB group that will later be voted on at the convention, I believe. Who is our, I know she knew that, who would be that tagged for that occasion? Have you had a meeting yet?
Yes.
And give us a little bit of about the meeting.
I had that meeting in April, and mainly that meeting, we came up with the agenda for overall voting on. Of course, funding wasn't the number one top. I know that was a shock. But and then people, of course, wanted some. I was thinking one of them was the coastal bend ISDs and the flooding and wanting extra insurance, and they just kept saying, write your own, district resolution, that kind of stuff for our advocacy. So we have another one the Thursday of TASB leadership in San Antonio.
And we'll, I guess, Dee Dee, unless a board member contacts us, this will now drop off the agenda. Now, if you
right,
if
you
you
will
want
have
it.
to go for action in June.
Okay. We won't bring it back in June because it would have to be an action item in June, unless someone notifies us and says, okay, we're going to discuss a resolution in the June board meeting.
And just clarification, the TASB ultimately will put together an advocacy agenda, a little booklet of all the, I call it the wish list, I guess you could say, from TASB, that they then take to the legislators saying, hey, look, if you love public schools, here's all the things that you should do. For the most part, it's pretty consistent across the state. We're probably not going to come up with anything unique that hasn't already been thought of before. But it is an opportunity for specific districts to come up. If they do have something that's unique to them, to try to get it into that system, to be listened at or listened to. Is there anything that anyone wants to add to that point?
And I'm just going to say the top 5 that we voted on is things that we had already discussed when we went to that regional meeting at Region 20. So
okay.
We're covered on our issues.
Next item, call for nominations for, actually this is just a discussion item, but nominations for ESC Region 20 TASB Board of Directors. Just real briefly, we're now in Region 20, and there are several seats on the TASB Board, Texas Association of School Boards, representing Region 20. One is held by Ms. Rolinda Schmidt. She was elected last year. She's from Kerrville ISD. She was elected to serve out the remainder of a one-year term, so her term would end this September, October timeframe. And also Mr. Gilbert Flores from Judson. His term ends this year as well. And Berlinda, I know, is going to run again, but Mr. Flores is not. So while both seats are up, there will be at least one seat that's vacant. And at this point, districts in Region 20 can nominate someone from their own board to be a candidate to run for the TASB board. And Mr. Westbrook did that last time. And I can say more about this in a second, but I certainly would encourage and would love to see him try to do that again. But Mr. Westbrook, you got anything you want to add or say on this?
First of all, I would enjoy the opportunity to run for the TASB Board of Directors again. I did learn a lot from the initial interview process. I think I'll go back to the drawing board. I have some meetings with Dr. Gibson and Gary Inman and some of the other boards in Region 20, sort of visit them and sort of readdress the situation, sort of my shortcomings, and I think shortcomings may take a while. I think I'll have a better interview. With the board's approval, I'd like to take another opportunity.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. So we'll, I think there'll be an action item for next month, correct, Petey? So again, what we would do as a board, we would nominate him to be a candidate, and then during the month of July and August, I'll go with him gladly. Mr. Westbrook and I probably travel around to different boards around the area and try to get their endorsement. And it's a fairly complicated process, but you try to get endorsements, and ultimately the TASB board is going to make a recommendation to the delegate assembly at the annual conference. It would certainly be an honor for Robert if he would get that position. It gets a lot of notoriety and publicity for our district as well. And he gets to have some influence on a state level. And y'all know I did it for about 10 years, and it was the time of my life to some extent. So it's a great thing to do, and get to meet a lot of good folks who go all over the state. So I encourage you to do that. So we'll bring that back for a vote at the June meeting. Okay? All right. Next item, board consideration and consensus on discussion items eligible for action on the consent agenda. I will keep notes. So which ones are going to come back next time? Good.
Yeah, were there any of the items that we just, I don't think that there were any, anyone specifically said, I want to hear another full report on that.
So well, that's things like the football supplies. We actually haven't seen that yet. Does that sound like something you used to request?
Yeah. What's left, Matt, on that, in that process?
Is bringing back the recommendation with the total dollar amount.
So would you do a discussion item on each of those with that and then an action item the next month, or what is the time?
The football supplies, the discussion item was bringing up a solicitation that's under review at the moment, and we're bringing back an action item next month with a list of the items.
Okay, so those are the ones that probably the board needs to look at real quick and see if anybody has any particular ones they want to discuss before voting on this. So football, internet, legal.
I would say with the legal services, I think we ought to have a separate vote on that, but honestly, the construction management services, so that's a big ticket item. I would say have that separate. Okay. And for the sake of, so we can have a hopefully 7-0 vote, I would say the nomination for Mr. Westbrook to the TASB board, we can do that. Is that okay? Shouldn't take too long.
But legal, construction management, and TASB votes.
Sound okay with everybody? Again, you can always pull the item if you want to.
Right.
I don't think there were any other action items, were there? Possible action items?
No.
That was it. Okay. All right, any questions on that? All right, let's move on to the consent agenda items for tonight. And these are all items that we discussed at our last board meeting, or other things that are typically on the consent agenda. I know policy EIC may be an issue, but does anyone have any items that you'd like to pull to have any kind of individual discussion on? Seeing none, okay, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
I
move the Board of Trustees approve the consent agenda as presented.
You have a second?
Second.
And motion and second, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. All right.
Moving Mr. Emmett to page 191 in the agenda.
Correct. Moving along here, and then we'll head to closed session here in a second.
And while we start action items, item C2, we're going to pull that out for consideration tonight. That was put on there as a placeholder, and it's not necessary tonight. The outcome of the meeting I may have mentioned earlier, and the aforementioned attorney had some bearing on that. After that meeting, we don't think that we have something to present to the board tonight.
First action item is the request for board approval, new positions for school year 16-17. And just for the board's understanding, these aren't actual individuals, this is just positions. That's why we're having this open session. Ms. Cannon?
Yes, good evening, President Emmett, Dr. Gibson, and members of the board. As Peggy stated in her budget presentation, we are requesting additional positions, mostly the operations staff due to our district growth, and these would be funded from the school year 16-17 general operating budget.
That was presented to us earlier. Does anyone have any questions?
Mr. President, I move the Board of Trustees approve the attached.
Sorry, John?
Just a quick question. For the bus monitors, I don't know if this is the right time. How do we determine when we get a bus monitor? I mean, like for approving this, just for a bus, how do we determine how we distribute it? I mean, is it something that we use to identify who these which buses get them?
Yes, sir, that's based on numbers, historic numbers.
Just per ratio kind of thing?
Right.
Do you, for instance, you distribute them as needed?
Right. We, it could be on a special needs route or McKinney dental routes, depending. We know for a fact next year we're going to have one special needs route, so that's going to be the best one.
Okay, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the attached new positions list for 2016-2017 school year.
I second.
Okay, motion and second, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Okay. We'll move down to item number 3, request for board approval, ESC 20 Regional Day School Program for the Deaf Shared Services Arrangement Agreement. And just a reminder, that's on page 63, that we discussed earlier. And does anyone have any further discussion on that? If not, do we have a motion? It's on page 63 is where the agreement starts.
I move the Board of Trustees approve the shared services arrangement agreement between the Schertz-Cibolo-Universal City ISD and the ESC Region 20 Regional Day School Program for the Deaf as presented.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed, same sign. Motion also passes unanimously. All right, at this time, it's 8:40 p.m. The board will adjourn into closed session pursuant to Texas Code Chapter 551.074 to discuss personnel matters, specifically the employment of contractual personnel and consideration of personnel term contract recommendations. We're back in open session. That will be 9:11 p.m. All right. The only things we discussed in closed session pertain to personnel under section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code. We now have 3 action items to address. First is employment of contractual personnel. Do we have a motion on that item? Should be page 230.
I move that the Board of Trustees approve the employment list as presented of contractual personnel for the 2015-16 and 2016-17.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Nobody pay attention to what's happening in the background. Motion passes unanimously. Next item, employment of Fine Arts Director.
I move that the Board of Trustees approve the employment of Fine Arts Director for the 2015-2016 school year.
That's good.
Yes, because in case he starts earlier than the July 1, we would leave that open.
Sorry.
I'll just add his name is Mr. Michael Light. We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and second, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes unanimously. Last action item, personnel probationary contract recommendations. We have a motion on that item.
I move that the Board of Trustees approve the list as presented of probationary personnel for the 2016-2017 school year.
I second. Motion and second, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. All right, thanks, folks. All right, last item on the agenda is still with the calendar. People still looks that up. If you show us, just to go back through, we have graduation ceremonies coming up pretty soon. Go through what we're going to do on those.
Yeah, I don't, would someone could just give me the dates, but on the same, Allison Steele and Steele is everybody's. June 2. Everybody remembers Ms. Dreisbeck and Mr. Westbrook and Dr. Edwards have agreed to stay back at Allison Steele to make sure that's done and all of that. Then it's kind of hard to gauge exactly how long that's going to be. And one of the questions for you for that night, and anyone else that's going, if you want to get a district vehicle, since we're going to be darting around and just stay together and then leave a vehicle here, since we're going to be moving around, we need to reach that conclusion. So the rest of us are going to take off from Allison Steele. Dr. Edwards, I believe you got, Ms. Knox knows that we're kind of front loading a lot of the comments for you and I. And then they know that we're slipping out to go with the Steele graduation.
You'll be there to accept the recommendation and certify the graduates, and then you'll be able to leave to go certify the graduates at Myers.
And then they do have you, Mr. Emmett, introducing the board, and so that'll be part of the agenda, will be you introducing the board, so you and I'll go at the same time. And then Clemens is the next night, is that right?
June 3rd.
What is it, 3? Yeah, June 3. And the good news is none of them are on weekends.
Yeah, I think if you haven't gotten it yet, I think all the invitations are over there in our mail. You haven't had a chance to get those. And if you haven't been to graduation yet, there is a parking pass in there. You kind of do get to the sidetrack. Most of the folks and parking's back. I assume that's still the same.
Yeah, don't forget it.
Yeah. There'll be plenty of food.
Can we get the, or at least can I get a copy of the program so I can start dividing out the, it's going to be real dicey on that first night with having two and not knowing who's going to be where and where,
I think this to make it even more complicated for you, she's going to try to get from Allison Steele over to Steele, is that right?
Yeah, I think Mr. Westbrook and I might both try, I don't know if you are, Robert, but we talked about it, trying to leave Allison Steele and make it over, no matter what point they're at still, so.
Depending on how we divide it up,
Oh,
you might be able to leave a little bit earlier,
Yeah,
maybe
I
the last 20, 30, 40 years. She'll be able to get there to the Steele room.
I'll leave it up 5 and 6 and 7 division.
As far as future board meetings, we have June 16th.
I was Kansas principal.
Is that our only board meeting for June? I've got 16th.
It's on the 23rd.
Yeah, it's the next.
Because it's the Tuesday. It's
So,
the first.
June?
Yeah.
So June, we're moving it from the
From the third Thursday to the third Tuesday.
Okay.
We're actually going to go ahead and hold the June 14 workshop, and Carew and Dreisbeck will be going. We are going to videotape it from 2 different angles, since it's a discussion only and it's a priority report. That way you can watch it at your leisure. And we would also offer for you to participate by conference phone. If, I think you may be out of the country, Lieutenant Cruz, so that may not be, but But we'll offer it, and if you want to just hear it live, otherwise, we do have a quorum, and so we're going to go ahead and keep it, and then we'll videotape it for you.
So June 14th?
June 14th.
June 14th will be a called meeting.
And we intend to do the year-end summary of priority 2 and 3. So some of the things we talked about tonight, mostly priority 2, we want to talk about some of the metrics, how they're calculated. And then coming back in July or August, we'll do a priority 1. Priority 1 takes a little bit longer to go through all those metrics. And so in fact, that may be we may have to have 3 call meetings to get through all of the metrics. We have not done this in the past, but we also haven't based a portion of the executive cabinet's appraisal on the outcomes of these metrics until this coming year. So personally, I just think it warrants a little deeper dive and discussion on whether a metric hits or not. I'll give you an example specifically of what we're going to talk about on June 14th. If you remove the benefits question from our top workplace, we hit our annual metric. If it's in there at 23%, we don't. And I'm not saying we should, I'm not saying we shouldn't. We're just going to lay it out, and it's the board's decision ultimately. But, you know, that particular question alone is just an interesting question. Our trend lines are really, really strong. Now, this, you know, can come off sounding a little bit whiny and all that, and that's fine. But I think there's some other examples, the STAR test that was a mess. The count.
Two situations. We have they changed the standard on us, and that's fine. It's going to change year to year to year, so that's something to take into consideration. And there is a lot of scuttlebutt as far as the inaccuracy of the assessments based upon all the problems that we had across the state, both online as well as scores, especially on the written component of that, the pressures they were under and the timelines and demands they were under to give students, up to, at times, grade an essay in 2 minutes, or definitely less than 5. That's not a lot of time to put on something that a student's going to be assessed on and has graduation implications to it. So there's a lot of consternation about assessments across the state.
And we set SMART goals, and we talk SMART goals all the time, and I know everybody knows this, but the A in that is attainable, and that's the question really. Was that metric actually attainable? And we're not going to say let's throw the goal. That's not what this is. It's was that annual metric attainable? That's the question that we want to. And again, Mr. Chairman, at the end of the day, if the board says, you know what, we understand, we're good, we want to keep them, we'll accept that, and we'll go on, because that is, these are the goals that we live by, but we think it's worth a good discussion.
Calendar-wise, we have the TASB SLI in June. Is anyone else going to that?
Yes.
Is everybody planning one? I think that's when you're out of state. You're in the country. Okay. So, I don't know, Mark. Any indication of Mark? So we have 6 out of 7 going? Okay.
Yes.
And does everyone get their hotel room yet? Get us in the paper. Okay. And I think, John, you're going to go to the one in Fort Worth, is my understanding. And just last thing, do we have, if he's going to apply for leadership TASB, is that something we have to vote on as a board to?
I'm going to look at that. I don't think so, but I'm going to determine that. And
I think we ought to vote from the board member training thing that we talked about, board operating procedures, how we approve if anyone does anything unusual.
I think because of the expenses we did before.
Yeah, I think we have in the past.
Okay, we can put that on the June agenda.
Okay. All right, anything else for future agenda items or anything else to discuss? Topics of interest.
Leadership TASB.
Right, to apply for leadership TASB. Sure. There's some coverage.
I'm here to do my job and you won't let me. I'm a frustrated person.
Fire away.
Remember, we got to get Ernie to run, so let's.
Oh, that's right.
We're going to try to get out of here by 9:23 today.
Starting our training for a marathon early in the morning. Hope it rains. If I'm not there, start without me. Okay. Tuesday the 24th of May, we have Cibolo City Council meeting at 6:30 p.m. And also, we discussed Thursday, the June 2nd, we have 6 p.m. Allison Still graduation at Trinity and 7:30 p.m. Myron P. Still at the Coliseum. And then Friday, the 3rd of June, we have Senator Clemens graduation, also at the Coliseum. On Tuesday, June 7th, we have 6:30 p.m. City of Universal City Council meeting. On Thursday, the 9th, 6:30 p.m. Selma City Council meeting. On the 14th of June, Tri-County Chamber, I believe it's called. There's a call board, that's at 11:30 a.m., 6 p.m. call board. 6 p.m. also Schertz City Council meeting, and 6:30 Cibolo City Council meeting. On the 16th, 17th, 18th is TASB Summer Leadership Institute at San Antonio Marriott River Center. Others, I was going to say something about Mr. Inman, but I'm not going to. Anyway, stay at certain places, you won't have trouble. Anyway, 11:30 a.m. Check with me after the meeting, I'll tell you. June 21st, 11:30 a.m. Schertz Chamber of Commerce. And we have a regular board meeting at night, 6 p.m. On the 28th of June, 6:30 p.m. Cibolo City Council meeting. And that's it.
All right. Any questions?
When does the Tuesday meeting start?
It's on the 21st.
Oh, that's June 14th, that's when it's. I thought it was
The 21st is the regular meeting.
21st is
The
the regular
21st.
meeting on Tuesday.
Oh, the 21st is a Tuesday?
See.
I assume we haven't got any complaints from the public?
Excited about it.
Yeah. All right. All right, anything else further? With that, if the board member can stay behind, if we can get a photo, Ed, real quick with that Go Public sign in the background, or if Steph wants to get a photo, that'd be great too. But, with that, we are adjourned at 9:24 p.m.